This session is here to show you about getting MySQL installed. We're going to start here at MySQL.com, which will probably take you over to dev.mysql.com. And from there we can go to the downloads. Now we don't care about the commercial edition, we want the free edition down here at the community edition. And from there we care about the community server. But I'm not worried about the other tools. There's great tools available, but we want the community server. And on this, we want to make sure we go to the MSI download. This is the wizard that's going to help us get everything downloaded. We don't care about these zip files. We have to do it by hand there. We want the wizard to help us out. And here you can choose either one. This one was a quick download that will download everything else afterwards. This one is the big download, and then you have it and it's available. It really doesn't matter which one you use. I downloaded this one, and I'll show you what that looks like right here. It's going to download. It's going to run a little bit faster to show you it running there. So if I click on my MSI now that's downloaded, then I get a little security warning. You may or may not get this. And I go off and run this. Okay, so from here, you can see it's giving me another security check. Do I want to install this? Again, that might not happen on your machine, but now I'm into the program. You might pop up the first time and it'll ask you, do you want to accept the license? If the first time you install it, you'll have to do that. I'm actually reinstalling it. I've uninstalled it and I'm reinstalling it, and it's already picked up my license inside of here. But it might ask you that. Just accept the license. For the most part, we're going to hit next, next, next. Now, here, the simplest answer is to go to the developer default. And you can hit next, next, next there, and it's going to basically install all the things you can see here. It's going to be more than what we really need for this. If you want the simpler answer, then you can go to the custom solution, which you pick the ones you want to. But the simpler answer is not necessarily the easier answer. That's going to be less things installed, but it's going to require a little bit more on your part. So if you hit next on here, it's going to say, okay, hey, this is where I'm going to install it to here. So you can see, in my case, I've already got a folder out here because I've uninstalled it, I'm reinstalling it. Some of you might be in that situation. If you've never installed it before, you're fine. You might not even see this this page, or it'll skip right by it. If you have used it in some other class, you might, if you've uninstalled it, you might need to reinstall it. You might have this conflict. You don't need to uninstall it in order to do this, but if you have, this is just what you'll see. So that's okay. Paths are working on, that's fine. Now here it's checking on the Visual Studio requirements. If you don't have Visual Studio, you won't have these requirements. So if you hit execute, it's going to try and install Visual Studio. If you don't want that, which we don't need it for our class, just hit next. And yeah, we can proceed without these. Yeah, that's okay. That's totally fine. So here you can see all the different things it's going to install. You can go back later on and uninstall some of these pieces, or you can go and do the customized route and not install some of these pieces. But now that you're here, you can hit execute, and that's going to install everything here for you. Okay, so we have everything installed now. We let it run, and we hit next, and then we go into the configuration step. So now what we see here, you can configure it as several different types of machine. We're obviously the developer, so we can keep the default port number, and we can basically have this open and available in case we wanted to use it on multiple computers, but we're pretty good there. You can show advanced options, but you know, that's not anything we're going to need to configure, but we'll click it just to see what they look like. So the key here is we need to set up a default password. You can leave it blank, but it kind of causes some issues. So I like to use the default password of test because I can type it all with my left hand. Oops, there's not, if you have a current one, you set that there. If you don't, then you put it there. But you can put it whatever you want to. Anything you want to instead of here is your default password. Just know that you'll have to log in with that later on. So remember what it is. All right, so hit next. And then it's really important to leave this checked. You want to run this as a service. If you don't set this up to run as a service, you're going to have to start it and stop it by hand each time. And so this is much, much easier. You can remove the service later on if you want to, but it's much easier to do it here. And if you don't want it to start up every time, you can uncheck this box. You can go and command it to start up by hand if you so choose. But this is basically really important to making sure it's always available for you. You know, hit next here. Here's the advanced options. It shows you error logs and things like that. I'm not changing anything here. Just want you to see that they exist. Hit next one more time, and then now I'm already installed. I'm going to configure the server as appropriate going through this tool. So you can see it's going and updating some stuff. It's changing some stuff. It's adding some stuff. It had an issue with the security settings because I didn't put my existing password inside of there, which was the issue. Inside of there, but I've already had it set up the same name, so it's fine by me. If you had it set up from a previous time, you need to have that password set up. You know, you need to know what the old password is. If you didn't, you know, if it's the first time through, it won't even show you the old password. It'll be fine. But just to show you the type of errors that can come up here as you're going through. So I'm done. I can finish, go through that. You can configure the samples if you so want to. Oh yeah, if you need the samples, you have to go through and start it up and make that happen. I killed mine accidentally here, but so I can check my root here. So make sure it's not started. So that's my issue right now is it's not started. So let me show you real quick how I can start it. I go to Control Panel, Administrative Tools. I come down to Services, and then if I scroll down, you can see I have MySQL. It's not started right now. I can right-click and say Start here. So that's now started up. I can check my root password, and now I've successfully connected. And boom, there you go. I can configure everything here. And it's going to set up the sample databases for me inside of that. So that is the basic setup of MySQL. The one thing you might want to do along with this is if you have a command line here, you can set up so you can point to MySQL from your command line. By default, you can see it's not recognized. I can't run anything for command line. The way I set that up is quite simple. I go to my properties of my computer, and they have this advanced system settings tab. And then there's this environment variables here. And up in the users section, you may already have a path. If not, you just hit new and create paths. You know, all caps is better. But I already have one inside of here. So I can edit my path. Oops, not temp. I want to edit my path variable and make sure I'm pointing to MySQL inside of there. Now you can see I have an old version of this already stored, but apparently it's not the right version. So I can go to my computer, see program files. There's not MySQL underneath here anymore. So it's no longer in this folder, which is what happened. So I must be under normal program files. There's MySQL, and there's my 5.6 server, and there's my bin folder. So you can see this is the path. I would copy this path over here, and I would place it inside of my path here. And you can see each path element is separated by semicolons if you already have one there. If you have nothing in there, you can just paste that inside of there. But I point to the correct location, and I hit OK, 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 set up my environment variables. It hasn't fixed it here because it doesn't fix it until I open up a new command prompt. And then you can see I have MySQL up and running. And I can, oops, -P for the password. Now I can log in and I can see my databases as they're set up. Oops, databases. There you go. I can see all the databases that are set up, including the test databases and whatnot. So that is installing MySQL. Hopefully that works out well for you. And if there's questions, then certainly ask, because there can be some snafus inside of there, but generally speaking, it should be as straightforward as that.